I think this is working. YouTube, what's going on? As always, hope everybody's doing well. My name is Kenny. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. That means a lot. I always say you have several choices in terms of videos to watch on YouTube, especially as it pertains to box truck. For whatever reason, you clicked on this channel. I really do appreciate that. I think when I went to bed last night, I had maybe 22 subscribers. I think I have a little bit over 30 now. And I'm happy to have my 30-some subscribers. So thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. If you're new, please take a minute to subscribe. I really appreciate that. Like if you can, that will help us reach more people. And the more people get involved in our box truck conversation, the more it does for me and you. And because I'm no expert, I'm new to this as well. I can only tell you where I am in the process and what I've done thus far. Anything past that, I'm still trying to figure it out as well. So if you would, please subscribe to the channel. You know, I always tell people you can unsubscribe later if you don't like it, right? So go ahead and subscribe if you don't mind. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I come out with some new content. For those who've been here before and have came back, thank you. I appreciate you sticking around. This is video number 5. And from the first one, I said number 1, fingers crossed, number 2, fingers crossed, etc., etc. Fingers crossed not to mess up too bad, and hopefully that the content is helping somebody if you're thinking about jumping into this business. Listen, I mentioned my first several videos was going to be about some minor things that you may not know about that you need to know, you know, as you start to look more into getting into this box truck business. And so today we're going to dive in on a little bit more. We're going to get into a little bit more meat and potatoes of it, okay? Today we're going to talk about, steps to get into the business. And we're really going to lean on the word step. And I'm mainly going to talk about my process. My process is not going to be your process. Your mindset is going to be different. You're going to want to do things totally different from the way I did it. I'm just going to share my thought process and what I did and how I got into the box truck business. And I'm not working yet. I bought the truck last week. I've got to register it. I bought it in Louisiana just to bring you up to speed. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't seen the other videos yet, some of this won't make sense, so I'm trying to just bring you along. I bought the truck last week. It's a 2017 International 26-foot box truck. Had between 190 and 192,000 miles on it. I can't remember. It has a brand new lift gate on it. It's a great truck. 70-gallon diesel gas tank. It was a fleet on. Well, most trucks are fleet on, but it was the truck was well taken care of. Had a mechanic look at it, so it's a really good truck. Real excited to have it, and looking forward to putting it to work. So that's kind of where I am in the process. There's no videos yet of me driving, picking up a load and delivering a load. That will come at some point. But I can only talk about where I am in the process because I haven't gone any further than where I am today. So no expert, by no means. I've got some tractor trailer experience. I drove for 3 companies. I've got a CDL, all endorsements with the exception of a hazmat. I had that. I let it expire because I wasn't using it. Probably need to get that back. But anyway, that's kind of my edited story. Have a CDL, but yet I've chosen to go into the box truck as opposed to tractor trailer. Why? You can go back. I've got a video on that. I think it's titled Box Truck versus Semi, and why I chose to do the box truck. But anyway, that's a little bit about me and where I am in the process. So how did I get started? How should you get started? What do I recommend? Well, for me, if I wasn't taking steps, or if I didn't take steps, I wouldn't get it done. So I went out and bought me I don't know if you call them, what do you call those things? Chalkboards, but where you can write on them. I put it on my wall, and I'll show it to you one day. And I put it on my wall, and every month I took a step, and I wrote that step down. It was a step board. Every month I took a step. The first thing I did was research, and I did over about a year, almost 2 years worth of research before I went out and bought the truck. But within those 2 years, I was taking steps, and the first step, like I said, the big step was research. I looked at, semi, I looked at hot shots, and, matter of fact, I looked at, what do they call it? RV transporting. I had, as a matter of fact, I took off a week from work, and I got on a Amtrak train. This is a true story, from Dallas, Texas, and I went all the way to Urquhart. I think that's how you say it, Indiana. And that's where a lot of the manufacturers are that manufacture these RVs. And what you do is they got what they call a drive-away division. They got a tow-away. They've got a fifth wheel. So you pick what lane you want to be in. And I did the drive-away. And that's basically you get in one of their units, whether it's a Class A or Class B, and you drive it to a dealership. They got it from the manufacturer. You're going to take it to the dealership that's going to sell it. I drove it from Indiana all the way to San Antonio. This is a part of my research to find out what I want to do. And I didn't like the fact that I didn't, you have to have your own transportation once you drop the unit off. Some people will have a tow car on the back of it. And of course, you're putting a lot of miles on it. I don't want to dive too deep into that. But I did that. I looked at hotshot, maybe getting a power only and hooking up a trailer and doing car hauling. I looked at all the different scenarios of what I wanted to do. And I can tell you most of those make more money than the box truck. That's, I'm just being honest, not to turn you away from box truck, because obviously I chose box truck at this point. I may add different things to my trucking company. The great thing about a trucking company, it doesn't have to be just a box truck. It can be a box truck. It can be a semi. You can do flatbeds. You can do reefer. The options, are endless. So you just got to do your research, as I've said in all my videos, and figure out what lane you want to be in. And then you just start researching that lane. And then you start taking steps and you write those steps down. So, my first step was research. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to drive a tractor trailer and sleep in a truck every night, sleep at a truck stop, take a shower at a truck stop. I knew I didn't want to do that if I didn't have to do that. So I knew if I did the box truck, I wanted to sleep in a hotel every night. I knew that was going to cut into my profit, so I had to make sure that I kept expenses low where I had control of it. Make sure if I was financing a truck that I didn't finance that much. My payment is extremely low, so I don't have a high expense there. Insurance is going to be what it is, depending on where you are, and your state, your zip code, your driving record, new authority, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be what it's going to be. So I really don't have that much control of that. But I made sure my expenses were very low so I can be profitable with doing trucking the way I want to do it, if that makes sense, right? So, research was my first step. After I did my research, the next step that I wrote down on my step board was, start the company. Articles of incorporation, you're getting your business name. I went and found the name that I wanted to use. My company is called Load Up Transportation, LLC. There's other Load Up Transportation. Mine is in the state of Texas. And so I like that name. That's what I went with. I made sure I had an email that went with that name. I made sure my website was with that name. And these are all steps. Check to make sure the name is available. Check and see if the name is available in the state of Texas where I am. Setting up the company, setting up the website. And I had a company to do all of that for me, to get the EIN and all of that set up, setting up the bank account. Those were all steps on the step board. I'm making moves, right? I'm not trying to do it all in one shot. Every month I'm making progress. Wrote it on my step board. And I felt good. And somebody asked me, they said, was the first step, was it scary for you? No, the first step wasn't. What was kind of scary to me, again, this is my story, this is me, maybe different for you, probably will be different for you. What was scary to me is when I had to cut that first check. That was because then it becomes real. Now I spent money to get the articles of incorporation, your EIN, setting up the bank account. You're spending some money, but it wasn't nothing that would throw you in the shock. But when I cut that check for the truck, now that's real. But what scared me more is when I thought about what could happen if I didn't cut this check. Does that make sense? Being independent is more important to me than anything. If anybody watching this channel, watching this video, have you ever lost your job before, whether it was voluntary or involuntary? and you got a wife, kid, mortgage, and you got to go home and say, hey, lost my job today, no fault of my own, but no income coming in, no revenue coming in. That's a hard conversation to have, right? And so I didn't promise anybody but myself. I promised myself I would never be that vulnerable again. I couldn't say I'd never be in that predicament again because to this day I work for a company, but it's not my only means of streams of revenue. I've got two companies. They do okay, but I made sure that if somebody came in and says, Kenny, we no longer can use you today, I wasn't going to have to go home and tell my wife that, I don't know what we're going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I've took care of my money and I put myself in good position. I'm not bragging. You can do this. It doesn't matter how much money you make. You just got to take steps, and I knew that part was more scarier to me than buying the truck. So, it weighed, the pros outweighed the cons. So I bought the truck. I bought it last week, by the way. And I was extremely proud of me for taking that step. You got to take steps, man. We sit back and watch these videos and talk about, man, I'm going to do it, but I'm hearing this. Take a step. Even if you decide that you're not going to do box truck, do those other things. Set up your company and take steps. Take steps. Do what you can. If you need to save up, to get your articles in corporation, you can do it yourself. I choose to have someone else do it. I don't know. I feel like I was going to mess up, so I paid somebody to do it. But I saved up for that step. I researched what it was going to cost. And, I took the step. Take steps, to get to where you want to go. So, yeah, that's kind of my story. Once I got my company set up, I didn't buy the truck right away. The next thing I started was to start having activity in my company's name. What does that mean? I started building business credit. We're going to do a long video one day about business credit. That's extremely important. You want to separate your business from you. You have what we call consumer credit, Equifax, TransUnion, Experience. Those are consumer. Your social security number, consumer credit. But then there's, on the other side, business credit. My company, Load Up Transportation, is separate from Kenny. There's Kenny, Load Up Transportation. And so I have employees that work for me. And they're not truck drivers, administration people, marketing people, and they're on payroll through ADP. It's a legitimate company, separate from Kenny. Load Up Transportation, Kenny. So, then I started getting vendor accounts, net 30 accounts, for startup companies. You start with tier 1 accounts, whether it be, office supply store. You get supplies and you pay it back. They report. Had a Dun and Bradstreet account where I had a Dun's number, and, they'll report to Dun and Bradstreet. They may report to Experience, business, not consumer. And so you start to build business credit. You get what they call a Paydex score. And that's an EIN number. That's your company. That's not your social security number. It's separate. And now you can't just go out and buy a car your first month in business. You start building. Again, I'm on tier 1. And I just kept building from there, step board. Now what I want to do is get me a fuel card. The first card was a Shell gas card. They didn't approve me. My credit wasn't good enough. I had to personal guarantee this. So, I had to get a secured account, right? A secure account. I kept that for maybe a couple of months. I got rid of it, got my money, my deposit back. I applied for another one through my company only, got approved. I went to I think it was a Chevron card, Then I went to a Fuel Man card. Then I went to a $5,000 credit line with Exxon and Mobil card. Then I went to a BP MasterCard, not just the BP gas card, MasterCard, which means I can use it anywhere. I can use it for repairs for my truck, whatever. Then my bank gave me a line of credit. Guys, this did not happen the first month. It didn't even happen the first year. Some of these things have just happened. There was a process, a step board, steps, patient, discipline, having a plan and working that plan. But in order for me to keep working that plan, I had to keep taking steps. I had to be doing something, else nothing would get done. And plus doing something made me feel good and it motivated me to take that next step. So make sure you're taking steps, no matter what those steps are. It doesn't matter how much money you're making, just save money. I always say if you work for somebody, you pay yourself first. Yeah, the money, your taxes gonna automatically come out. If you can't save but $2, save $2. Your process may be quicker or it may be longer than mine. But as I said, they're not gonna stop printing money. Freight is gonna always be moving. It'll be here when you get out here. But take steps, man. You'll feel good that you're taking steps. Then let me know. Put in the comments. Hey, Kenny, I took a step today, man. Here's the step I took. We'll celebrate together. Take steps. If you have any questions, guys, there's so many other channels that will say, send me some money and I'll tell you. And I'm not judging them. I'm not judging them at all. One day I may say, give me some money, but right now that's not what I'm trying to do. So just send me an email if you have a question. If I can't answer that question, I guarantee you I know how to get the answer. And so if you have any questions, let me know. We'll get the answer together. We'll figure it out. You know where I am in the process. I hadn't made it all the way yet, but I'm on my way. And I want you to be on your way if this is what you choose to do. Independence, man, whether it's trucking company or something else, do something. Have another stream of revenue. Do not just depend on your job. When you work for somebody else, they are in control of your destiny and your household. They are, because they control the money, right? So make sure you put yourself in position to where you're not worried about what happens on your job. And maybe you have a job you're about to retire on and you're looking for something to do. Everybody's situation is different, but take steps, if this is what you want to do. Research first now. Research first. Don't go take all your 401 money, all your money out of your 401k. Research first. Make sure this is a good fit. Make sure the business is for you. I talked about that in my previous video. Just make sure it's for you. But once you determine, hey, I want to make this move, start making steps towards it. That's all. So business credit. How do you build business credit? Kenny, man, you talk about this. How do I do that? What do I do about this, man? What if my credit is not this? How do I make my credit better? I'm not a credit expert, but what I can always tell you is what I did. And I can tell you the results of it. I started out with a 400, and I don't mind telling you, a 480 credit score. I'm over 7 now. I'm still not where I want to be. So, but step forward. I take steps. I'm patient. And by taking steps, it allows me to be patient. So anyway, once I got all of that, then I went out and bought a truck. Did I buy it in Kenny's name or did I buy it in Load Up Transportation? What do you think? Did you say Load Up? Yeah, I bought it in my company's name, not my name. It's in Load Up Transportation. Load Up Transportation now has a piece of equipment. It has some assets now. So when I go talk to a bank, I got a piece of equipment. I'm in business. And so, now Uncle Sam know that too. Nowhere around that, but take steps. That's my step. That's how I got from the beginning to where I am now with my truck. The next step is getting it registered. Once I do that, what am I going to do? Am I going to put a driver in that truck to go over the road? Am I going to sign it up with Amazon? Just to have some revenue coming in from that truck, because right now it's costing me money. I've got a note every month. I've got insurance every month. I've got a storage fee where I keep it every month. It's costing me money every month, but I prepare for that. I prepare for that. When I was doing my research, hey, it's going to sit for a minute. Here's what I'm going to have to be responsible for while it's sitting. I got to set myself up to be able to do that and not cause any strain on my household. So, I hope this has helped. We will jump into more meat and potatoes and the next steps and the next step, but I feel this is important. Guys, you got to take some steps. You got to start moving in that direction. You watching these videos and worrying about who's going to be your dispatcher. You're not there yet. Who's going to be my factoring company? You're not there yet. Do I need to go buy me what do you call it? A pallet jack. Go buy a pallet jack. You're going to need it at some point. Go buy you some straps. You're going to need it at some point. Go buy some chalk for your wheels. You're going to need it at some point. Take some steps. Make some steps. But don't worry about, who's my factoring company yet, because you're not there yet. There's plenty of dispatchers that will take your money. Trust me, you'll get to that. What load board am I going to use? You're not there yet. You can look at some of those things in your research, but, get your company set up. What do you want your company to be called? Do you know how to set up your own company? Do you need somebody to do it? Who can do it? I can tell you who can do it. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm not charging you. Just ask the question. If I don't know the answer, I'll get it. If you need to know, who I use to get my company set up, who I use to do the website, how do I start business credit? How do I get a DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet? Is it free? It is. You can get it for free. What fuel card should I apply for? How do I start to get my credit better? I can tell you what I did, and I don't mind sharing that information. I hope it's helped. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the like, notification bell so you'll be notified when I come out with some new content. If you have already subscribed, thank you very, 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 very much. When I first did this, I was talking to myself. There was nobody watching. I had 0 views, 0 subscribers, and no thumbs up. Man, it was bad. And I'm still pretty low, but the ones who have subscribed, that means the world. I appreciate it. And we're going to get through this thing together. Hopefully, if nothing else, I've motivated you more to start taking steps. And it doesn't have to be box truck. It could be anything. You may want to do a tractor trailer. You may want to do something else. You may decide you want to work on trucks. Whatever. Take a step. Set your company up. All right. Listen, tough times don't last forever. Tough people always do. Money don't come with instructions. Take care. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.